Good evening. This is the 814th meeting of the City of Laurel Historic District Commission. The qualifications of the members of the commission, the staff of the commission, and any consultants used are on file with the city and are hereby made a part of each and every application heard today. The guidelines and procedures adopted by the commission are also made a part of each and every application. Each application heard today is considered on its own merits and is not to be considered as establishing a precedent for any other application. Madam Secretary, you please call the roll.
Chairman Hayes.
Here.
Mr. Clacoon. Council President Les.
Here.
Ms. Rambo.
Here.
Ms. McSteeny.
Here.
Ms. Lubinecki.
Here.
Ms. Frazier.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Mr. Chair, if I could,
Thank you.
Mr. Fleming is not going to be with us tonight. He's got a family member in the hospital,
Oh, okay.
just to let you know.
Thank you very much.
But I'm sure the staff will take care of his. They'll watch out for him.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have the minutes of the regular HDC meeting held on July 17th before us. We need to approve those. Please voice any concerns, corrections, or other issues with those
I
minutes.
have a correction.
Okay.
On the first page, bottom paragraph, on a motion by Ms. Frazier, second by, it says Mr. Rambo, and I'd like to be a...
Thank you very much for that. Okay. Slip of the old keyboard. Any other?
I move we approve the minutes with the one correction.
I'll second.
Ms. McSteeny.
Yes.
Ms. Rambo.
Yes.
Council President Les.
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Ms. Frazier.
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki.
Abstain, I wasn't present.
Chairman Hayes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Agenda item number 3, HDC 017-2019 for 409 Laurel Avenue, submitted by Leon Ginsberg. This item was tabled from the June meeting, requesting approval to install new porch railings on the front of the house. Hi.
Nice to
Please
see you again.
Hi.
Thank you. State your name.
Leon Ginsberg.
Okay. Welcome again. So, you have presented a new version of your
Correct.
front railing. Okay. And we have a picture of those, and I'm sure the commissioners will be interested in them. Personally, I'm not. The bit of color in there isn't a problem personally for me, but the shape of the baluster is.
Okay.
It lacks historic representation, you know. But let's hear what they have to say too.
Right, that's a style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some concern. I have to share the chairman's concern here, and I understand that you're probably trying to do something a little creative.
I am.
To put on your house.
Yeah.
And I even looked at it and said, well, it's basically a craftsman style house, and the shape that you're, I think, endeavoring to create is not unevocative of that style. But it is not. I think we're looking for traditional style for your style for your styles here.
Okay.
Unfortunately, and so I share it with the chairman. I don't have a problem with putting a dual color and multiple colors and stuff like that. But
Okay.
I think we'd really prefer a more traditional style
Traditional meaning like a Williamsburg, like turned.
Not necessarily.
Spindle
This is
or-
Actually, just a
Just
straight.
a
straight.
straight
Square.
one.
Yeah.
Squared for this, just for the style. It basically goes with the style of the
Okay.
house. I'm afraid.
Do you still have an image of the house before you started work?
Not with me.
Okay. Did it have a?
Oh, no, because it had that closed
Oh,
in.
right,
closed.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is an
Oh,
improvement. Don't-
Yeah.
Look at the house
nice.
next door.
We're happy that you're putting
Right.
That's nice.
taking that what was there,
Sure.
the screen
Yeah.
part down.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like your next door neighbor's railing
on the
on the right,
right.
to the right.
Okay. No, they
Oh, the
do
weekend to
have
the-
a Williamsburg style.
Okay.
William,
And you can do that. You don't have to get elaborate. You can just do.
but a square, I think
A
for
square
the
is-
craftsman, it's much more of a square approach to life.
Okay.
I'm sure there's other places in the house you can be much more creative.
Sure.
Inside on your staircase, we have no say over what you do
Right.
on the inside.
Or whimsical porch furniture.
Sure.
Right.
Mr. Chair, if I could, these wooden rails, upper and lower rails,
Yes.
okay. I hope you're not going to run the lower rail directly onto the porch.
No.
Okay, so you use some triangular blocks to keep the rail from sagging, I assume?
Yeah. Some type of black.
Yeah, in the
correct.
middle. Typically, they go in the middle of the rail just so they don't sag. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if I may,
Please.
the question is, are you willing to do the square rails?
If I can get approval on it tonight, yes.
I think
Absolutely.
that's certainly a possibility. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve HDC 2019 with square rails.
Square balusters, yes.
Yes, square balusters, square styles
Sure.
balusters.
Sure.
We all know where we're talking
Yeah.
about.
We just wanted to be clear.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that with colored rails.
Thank you very much. Madam Secretary, we have a motion by Ms. Lubinecki to approve and a second by Council President-elect.
Ms. Lubinecki,
Yes.
Council President Les,
Yes.
Ms. Frazier,
Yes.
Ms. Rambo,
Yes.
Ms. McSteeny,
Yes.
Chairman Hayes,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you very much for coming. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
We appreciate it.
Agenda item number 4, HDC 01-2019 for Patuxent Place on Main Street, submitted by Leon Hill, requesting approval to replace existing signs with new signs to match all signage on the building. Hi.
Hi.
Please identify yourself.
I am Leon Hill,
Okay,
the
nice to
Knight of
meet
the Leons.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Expand on exactly what you're doing here.
A lot of our signs that present on Main Street are different in color, different, the detail around the trim of it. We're just trying to get a more uniform look and have the same trim around, same color for all the signs to help enhance the Main Street.
Now, this doesn't include all of them at the present time, right?
Right,
Is
we
this
have
a-
some that do have the color that we already like that
Oh,
we
okay.
will keep, and then we're going to try to stay in like kind with those.
Oh, okay. So, is this is this a total? Then will they all be informed or?
They will all have the same color and the same. We're hoping for the same border, similar to. I can show you a picture of the border that we're looking for. Let me bring it up to you.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, so it'll have that little notched corner on each one.
Right.
Okay.
And then we're going to keep that whole design. The lettering may not always be the exact same height, and all, depending on what people are looking for. But
Right.
as you guys approve things, we want to approve them as well.
Okay, super.
So will they be allowed to have logos?
Yes.
Or are you just doing lettering?
It will be logos if people choose to put them on there, but again, we will be selective of what the logo look. And
Because several of the ones currently now have their own kind of distinctive.
correct.
Like, for example, Hey Red has a very distinctive, and So that will be changing more just to letters and,
That one's going to be just the letters. She knows it, and she wants to keep her sign as a momentum of what she's had there.
okay.
But yeah, so we for hers, we're just going to go with our plain lettering on that.
This one doesn't have a name.
JJKK, that's Premier Orthopedics, and that I think those are the doctor's initials for that.
Oh. Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Please.
So we're replacing flat signs. We've got at least one sign that in fact is a carved sign, correct?
As in like routed into it, or
Yes.
I don't recall any that are actually routed in. They also
Orthopedics PA.
Okay, and that's the new ones that they actually designed themselves, but we would be putting our own. I don't think we're going to router theirs out. We're just going to do it.
So you're going to replace this sign also.
Yes.
And let me ask a question of staff. How does this impact the approvals that these different, most of these are owners of these units, is that correct?
Correct.
You're the management company.
Yes, sir.
How does this impact the approvals that these owners got for their signs?
Well, they
I'm
would.
going to ask the question because do you have agreement from all the owners that this is fine with them?
We did send a letter out to every owner saying that we
Didn't
were.
ask that.
Okay.
You have permission.
Not any written permission, no,
Okay.
sir.
I think there's an issue here because these are condos, if I remember correctly, many of them. They're owned by the different tenants. They're there.
Correct.
And and most of these signs, and I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying they have come to us over the years
Sure.
and they've gotten permission. Now, we tried to do the best we could with scalloped edge and the border and so on. For example, the Orthopedics PA.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what they wanted. They weren't looking for that. So I assume they spent a lot of money on this sign. And the question in my mind is, since they've gotten permission in applying to the historic district, do we have to have something in writing from all those owners? They're shaking their head yes.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying what you're trying to do is wrong.
Correct. I understand.
I mean, the issue was raised about Hey Red because that's the first one that came to this historic district that asked to put a logo on, and she's been a long-time tenant.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think that said, I think that I'm not just agreeing with the management company. They're trying to dress the place up.
Correct.
I agree with that. But I think they need to get sign off from all these different owners and then come back. Say, here's the signs we're replacing. Here's their agreement that we're going to do this. I assume you're paying for it.
Yes, sir.
Love it. I love it. They should love it too. Some of the signs have gotten old.
Yeah.
Is this part of their condo agreement? I mean, the association, that if you're a member, if you're like a homeowners association, you have to follow certain regulations in, the signage or the color of your house and stuff, like much more than the historic district.
Right. We do require that. Like I said, we do ask them that they come to us with their signs that we approve them as well as you guys.
Yeah.
And then our condo association.
That did happen.
Yes.
Whether it was Cooper and Cummings or your company.
Correct.
Okay, I think that's the issue here, that they went through that process, but now you've got one half of that partnership. They want to change, and I don't disagree with it. I'm just saying that I wish our attorney was here. He'd probably tell me, well, I don't know what we do, but I think what we need to do is, I think that you need to talk to staff. They'll talk to Larry, our attorney. He's probably going to say you got to have agreement from all those owners so that when we approve it, okay, we get them all changed. And then what we might want to do is we might want to can't change condo documents,
Right.
but we can change the process.
Right.
Okay,
Good
that's
idea.
my suggestion, Mr. Chairman. So we table to next meeting, give the management company the opportunity to talk to staff, and Larry, our attorney. He's a good attorney. And get this right the first time. So that we're not sitting here 6 months from now and somebody sued the city. Not sued you, but sued us.
Sure.
Because we approved something, they say we didn't have the right to do that. That's my suggestion, Mr. Chairman. We go ahead and table this as specified, allow them to converse with staff and our attorney. So you can come back next meeting and, hey, here it is, we got the sign-offs.
Okay.
We're paying for the signs, there's no argument, and we're gonna have all these nice little signs up there to dress the place up.
Okay.
My
So
suggestion.
that we're all covered legally.
Well, I'm always worried
covering
about,
all the bases.
always worried about somebody coming back and suing us.
Mm-hmm.
We spend enough money on suit the city. Planning and zoning issues.
You're
Okay?
amenable
That's my
to that?
suggestion.
I'm sorry.
Are you amenable to that?
Yes.
Okay. Just have all in favor? Aye?
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. So we will table that until our next
And
meeting.
if you'll get together with staff tomorrow, Paul,
Yes.
and they'll get Larry on the phone, you all can decide how you're gonna handle this.
Okay. Real good.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You guys have a good night.
Appreciate that you're trying to make some uniformity in the signage.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Agenda item number 5, HDC 069-2018 for 693A Main Street, submitted by Divas Dominican Hair Design, requesting to install 4 window signs at the front of the property for their hair salon. One of the signs is lighted. Hello.
How you doing?
Hi, please identify yourself.
My name is Alex Marin. This is my wife, Evelyn Marin.
Thank you for coming. Nice to see you. So give us a rundown of what you're doing.
We own a hair salon. We installed some signs. Initially was 5 of them, but we ended up removing most of them. We only got 2 now. And we depend on those signs to let people know that we're up there. It's a hair salon. People need to see that, it's a hair salon up there. And that is just like a way to advertise our business.
Okay.
So you're actually in Patuxent Place, where the gentleman
Yes.
is here.
Yes.
So will you be one of the people having a new sign on the bottom?
Exactly. We don't have a sign out through them.
But you would, but
I agree with him. Yeah. If
Oh,
he wants-
super.
Yes.
so I mean, you will be qualifying for one of
Yes,
their
ma'am.
signs.
Yes,
also.
ma'am.
But on the main level there.
Right. We're right above of the restaurant over there, Red Hot and Blue. We're on the
Ah.
2nd level.
So Mr. Chairman, I had a question when I was looking at the picture and kind of looking at the signs as they were proposed. My sense was, maybe you can clarify for me that, and these were numbered for us, so we have like 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay.
May I? May I
Yeah,
approach?
Sure,
take
come
a
on up.
pic. So you'll know which ones I'm referring to when I ask. Okay, they just numbered them. The staff numbered them for us, so we could be clear on which piece of your application was going with which one. Okay. My sense was that signs 1, 2, and 4 were decals on the window.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Yes.
But that sign number 3 is actually
It's that the neon, the open sign?
no. That's number 2 has the open.
Okay.
Number 4 is the one with the white background that says Divas.
Right.
I mean, number 3, I'm sorry, is the one with the white. It's this
That
one.
is also a decal.
Okay, but that's covering, as opposed to this one, is all the other ones are clear through to the window, correct?
Right.
But number 3 basically takes the whole window, correct?
Now, is that a shade coming down behind it? Or?
No, it's the decal
The whole
itself.
decal is, so
But
it's the whole window.
La blanca.
Uno es transparente y otro es blanco.
Yeah, one is transparent and the other one is white.
Right, but this one is not transparent.
No, it's not.
So in effect, that one actually blocks the whole window, and I
The
think
top part of it, yes, it does.
yeah. Whereas the other 3 do not.
Well, the other three they're not there anymore. We only have two now.
I'm
The-
confu-
the-
So you're just going to do two?
I'm confused because the application is not the application.
Yeah, it's for all four.
It's
We
for all
applied,
four.
yes, but we ended up removing all, like most of them. We
Okay.
only kept the neon sign,
Okay.
the one that's white, and the clear one that says Divas.
Well, that's three.
That's three. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Four is gone.
Yeah, number
So
four
number
is
four is
gone.
gone. Okay, because
Number-
you could
so
hardly
number
see
four.
that.
Okay.
So it must have met the requirements of space open. So staff, did you guys did that cumulatively? Okay. So that's how they end up
Okay. So
meeting the requirement.
we're not doing sign number four. Because that was my concern, is that we seem to be exceeding
Right.
what we were allowed to cover in the windows, particularly if that one.
For the record, staff was unaware of that, so. didn't.
Unaware that number four.
Right.
Surprise, surprise.
¿Qué tipo de sign se puede colocar fuera? Si hay
Eso,
un
eso,
sign
bueno.
que se pueda colocar para publicidad en la parte de atrás. Se permite la ciudad para colocar,
Okay,
ya sea como
so actually number three is the one
una
with white background. Wait, let me go back.
banderita. ¿Qué tipo de sign podría utilizarse como publicidad?
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Please.
the way the sign coverage is computed, it's not only computed on these four windows, four panes on the front, but the two side panes. Is that correct?
Yeah.
To arrive at, okay, this meets the criteria for coverage. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. So there's
Okay, thank you.
These two
Thank you,
windows
Mr.
over
Chairman.
here.
Yeah, I understand. But we were asked to these four. So.
Right, but again, in computing the space, those are considered part and parcel.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
My wife and I have a concern. Is there any type of sign that we can that we're allowed to use, like outside of the business? Because since we're on the upper level,
Right.
so like a A-frame sign or like a banner, or because we've seen people using them on Main Street, so that we can have one, on the lower level, telling people that we're up there.
Well, are you going to get one from the management company?
No, they don't provide that. No, they don't.
But they're going to
Okay.
provide a sign down below at the sidewalk level,
No,
right?
so that's the
Right,
question. Are they
right.
going to give you one of their
That's-
new signs?
That's the plan. Yes,
Okay.
They're going to give you one of those.
one of the ones he was
one
talking
of the
about.
band signs,
Right.
not a flag type of sign.
No.
My question to you would be, does your management company? I mean, before you even come to us with that, I would check very carefully.
They asked me to come to you guys, and if you guys approve it, then it's fine with them.
I think that you'd have to go to the city first.
Well, I actually did,
Oh, okay.
and they sent us to you guys.
And would this be something you would put out when you open and take in when you're closed?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm concerned about this, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I don't think that
You would have to come before us again for that. That'd be a separate thing.
it's a separate application.
Okay, so-
and I'm not sure that it's something that we would encourage.
Okay.
Right. You'll have a sign down below. You already have the electric neon sign.
But the neon sign is
In
just
the
an
window.
open sign.
Right, but it's
Yeah.
there.
Tell people that we're open.
Well, that's what another sign would do, right? That you're
Well,
asking
actually,
for.
the other sign would be to let them know that we're up there on the second level, because there's nothing to
Okay.
tell them that we're up there now.
Well, then Patuxent Place is doing signs that say on the lower level. There are lots of pages here.
Right.
Yeah, it's like physical therapy, lower level.
Okay, well, I didn't know
So
they
I
were
think
doing
you
it.
need to talk to them about having your sign
Say upper
say
level.
upper level.
Hey, that's an idea.
Because there have been signs, there are signs that say
And in,
upper
the, and,
level.
and in the rear, I mean, they will direct. I mean, it actually doesn't Hey Reds even say in the back
I
somewhere?
think it does.
It might.
It might.
Used to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it says lower level, which is down below.
Right, so,
It
yeah.
doesn't say in the back.
Right,
It
so
says
lower level.
Va a hacer un
Does it?
letrero y
No, it
que le
doesn't.
preguntemos que en el letrero incluye que diga que estamos en el
No,
segundo
it does say
nivel.
lower level, actually.
Así como hay otros
Yeah.
lados que
Physical
dice que
therapy,
están
lower
en la
level.
parte de abajo.
Shambari on lower level, yeah, so it does.
Yeah.
It has, yeah, so that would be your workaround that way to say where you were. Okay.
So I would confer with them on that part of it. And then if they're saying no to you, then submit another request.
Through the city.
You'd have to go through this whole process.
Yeah, you just go the whole same process again.
Okay.
Just for your A-frame sign.
Okay.
I don't think he's talking about an A-frame. You're really talking about one of those things.
Well, either one. Either one. I mean,
Okay.
the A-frame or the banner.
Well, the A-frame, they're not allowed to put it on the actual sidewalk, correct? The sidewalk belongs to the...
Typically not. And then you were talking about a banner. Those are temporary signs anyway. You get a permit for those, but
It'd be more like maybe like a hanging sign.
No, I think he's talking about one of those...
No, I'm saying what might be a good compromise is that a hanging sign that people could see as they're walking, so it'd be hanging, up here as they're walking.
Right, yeah.
Perpendicular to the street.
Exactly.
Right, but I think you need to check first with your management company, because it'd be on their property, because it's not going to be on our sidewalk.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a bracket up there.
Is there a bracket?
Yeah, to the left of the windows.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's from a previous business.
Probably.
Like a bracket with a sign that just hangs down.
Right. So
They actually had a sign on
Right.
top of it.
You could put a
so
sign.
there was a sign here.
Exactly, yes. Yes.
So, talk to them, the management company.
The property manager, Leon,
He said that's
he
fine.
said it's fine.
Okay, well, you have to come back to us with whatever it is you want to put there.
Okay.
And I would think that given that he's doing specific looks for all his band signs, that he would have an opinion on that.
Well, yeah, he told me that he has to be uniform with whatever he's doing. So, yeah, we have no problem with that.
So I think if you end up with the the upper level thing, as someone has suggested, and this additional line, that's quite a bit of direction to where your business is. So.
Yes.
Great. So let's go back to the task at hand. Again, just for making sure that we've got this right, is that there will only be, of the 4 windows, only 3 will have signs.
Yes, sir.
And the lower left hand will be clear.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
So this would be for numbers.
Need to trim that
For numbers 1, 2, and 3, not number 4.
Correct.
Need to get the city to trim that tree. Part of the problem. You're right above red, hot, and blue,
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Yeah.
Does the city prune it or does?
That's the
Patuxent
city.
Place.
Well, I'm not so sure that it would. You might want to ask your landlord not to cut it down, but to prune the tree that's in front of your windows.
Okay.
I mean, those trees were planted, 30 years ago. I think that one may be on Patuxent Place property, but if it's on city property, you can always ask the city to prune it. Not cut it down,
Right.
not butcher it, but prune it. Because it sort of hides those windows.
Exactly, it does.
It's difficult to see that there's a business up there.
Uh-huh.
Just a suggestion.
Okay, appreciate it.
Sure.
Le digamos a Leon que pode el árbol para que se vea más las ventanas y el sign. Que si es de Leon, que la propiedad.
Let me just say, as the landlord, the management company is attempting to clean the property up, this is the time to ask for those things.
Except,
Now.
yeah, right.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Y si le quito todas esas ramas.
Que si es de Leon, Leon lo tiene que hacer. Ahora si es parte de la ciudad lo hace.
como la ciudad.
I think we are.
Hay que preguntarle a Leon si es parte de la propiedad.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve HDC 069-2018 for 693A Main Street, numbers 1, 2, and the signs 1, 2, and 3 as presented to us, with the understanding that number 4 has been removed from the window.
Correct.
I'll second that.
Ms.
I'm sorry, was that
Lubinecki,
Margie or?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ms.
Okay.
McSneedy,
Yes.
Council President Les,
Yes.
Ms. Frazier,
Yes.
Ms. Rambo,
Yes.
Chairman Hayes.
Yes,
Motion carries.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Before we call the next one, I have a question
Yes.
about agenda item number 3. On 2 copies of our agenda, it's got different numbers.
Yeah, I noticed that.
It was updated.
It was updated. It was
Updated.
11 or
Yeah.
something.
It was 11,
Yeah.
so now it's 17. So okay, thank you.
Okay. Agenda item number 6, HDC 004-2019 for 337 Main Street. Submitted by Felicia, and I'm not going to butcher your last name, requesting to install signage on existing green awning and white lettering to read Heavenly Boutique. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
All right.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So tell us about your request here.
I just want a sign for my business so that people will know where I am.
And so you're replacing is there any verbiage there right now? Is there any lettering there currently?
She's already
That's
done it.
already done.
Oh, you've already
Many,
done it. Oh,
many,
okay.
please.
Yeah.
Okay.
We took it.
So you're just asking for forgiveness.
I think this,
Yeah, there it is. It used to be Minuteman Press.
And this is the
Oh,
one
yeah.
that was painted over the whole sign, that the awning's been painted over.
Oh, right. Okay. So it's all blue.
No, it's all green. It's
Oh.
just
It's all green.
It's all green.
That's
So
a
she's
new.
putting-
That's a relatively new awning.
Yes.
Okay.
I move we approve HDC 004-2019.
I'll second it.
All right, Madam Secretary, we have a motion from Ms. McSneedy to approve and a second by Ms. Rambo.
Ms. McSneedy,
Yes.
Ms. Rambo,
Yes.
Council President Les,
Yes.
Ms. Frazier,
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki,
Yes.
Chairman Hayes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you. Thank you so much.
Next, agenda item number 7, HDC 006-2019 for 1105 Montgomery Street. Submitted by Chris Ertl, requesting to install fencing in two 8-foot sections each.
Hello.
Hello.
Those who don't know me, my name is F. Christopher Ertl, and I live at 1105 Montgomery Street.
Welcome back.
Been a while.
Right.
So I need to put up a fence, just a short couple of sections to keep big trucks from rolling over my yard.
Oh.
Who has big trucks in your
Yes.
area, Mr. Ertl?
Yeah.
All the roofers that live at the end of my alley, landscapers that live halfway up the alley.
As opposed to the person who owns the heating and air
Well,
conditioning.
yeah, mine's not so big a truck. Not like theirs. Mine is little compared to theirs.
Chris, just if you would, Mr. Chair. Chris, remind us, this is a private alley, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure everybody understands that. Thank you.
Owned by half one side and half the other side.
I understand.
Now, will it look just like the one that's over there now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It'll hopefully have that same bow effect in it. The bow.
Swoosh.
Yeah.
Little swoosh there.
Yeah, it's a bow down to a lesser size on the end.
Okay.
On both ends.
You'll have to wait a while to get the nice patina, though.
Yeah, that fence has been there 25 years already.
And
What?
Neither of you is into painting fences?
No, nobody's into painting fences.
Just yes.
Yeah. We power wash every once in a while. Yeah. But it's not a solid fence at all, so it's got the gaps in it just like you see there.
Right.
Well, I'd like to move that we approve HDC 009-2019 for the 2-section fence. on Montgomery Street.
I'll second that.
All right, Madam Secretary, we have a motion to approve from Ms. McSeany, a second by Ms. Frazier.
Ms. McSeany?
Yes.
Ms. Frazier?
Yes.
Council President Les?
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki?
Yes?
Ms. Rambo?
Yes.
Chairman Hayes?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on. Agenda item number 8. HDC 013-2019 for 309 4th Street. Submitted by Lily Mundruff, requesting for owners Nate and Carrie Allen to construct an addition on the rear of the home. Hey, guys.
Good evening.
Please state your name.
Nate Allen.
Lily Mundruff.
Okay. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Lily. We know Nate. I'm not going to ask you to go. You have presented. I want to just let you know that you've presented a very thorough package here.
Yes.
And we appreciate it. And it's, from my opinion, it looks like a lovely addition.
Mm-hmm.
I did have one question. Okay, when on the addition, on the side elevation, I was looking, and maybe it was in the packet, but I kept looking for it and didn't quite see it. The side windows above it's actually the new section.
The square ones.
The kind of squarey ones.
Yes.
Those were the one things that you actually didn't have illustration specs for them.
So there'll still be Marvin clad windows, but they would be the awnings as opposed to the other ones we have as double hung.
Right.
These ones are push out.
So they
Yeah.
pop out. Yeah.
Is
Okay.
that because
Cool.
they're in the closet?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
So they follow the same in terms of proportion. They follow the half, the upper sash of the double hungs.
Good question.
Do they, even though it follows a proportion, do these come with so that you can have like the muttons in?
Yes. So it basically looks just like a half a sash of a double hung.
I mean, I'm not good at. So is it actually like, so it will, even though the window opens, it's a rollout, right?
Yes, it's a crank out.
So does it still have like or at least a crossbar or anything?
Yes. So you
In the
see,
center.
in the center there will be a muntin bar that matches the same profile.
Horizontal.
Well, so because it's a half, so it's the double hung just have a single in the center.
Right.
This one will have a single in the center, and everything else in terms of the frame follows the same profile and width of the other double hungs.
I'm looking at this picture.
Yeah, and you can see the line down the center.
Yeah, no, I see
so
the
she's
line.
talking about going across.
Is there a cross?
No, there is not.
No.
It's the same as the top half of the
Right.
window next
I
to
know
the
it theoretically looks, but it doesn't actually look.
I think the problem with that would be a proportional thing.
Mm-hmm.
That
It would look
if you
kinda
cut that in
funny.
half, it would look like the
I mean,
window.
is it actually half the size of the double hung, or is
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you put one across, it would look like it belonged on a tiny house.
I'm impressed that you're putting Marvin windows in throughout.
Either Pella or Marvin.
I have a question.
Yes.
I saw this in the package. Where do they go?
So it's not; those are different options. It's just a little detail of the shakes right here at the pediment of the bay in the back.
Look at the north elevation.
Okay. Can I come
Oh, please.
Sure, please,
Yes.
absolutely.
Here, this detail
Oh, okay.
right.
Oh, nice.
The break is.
Did you? Excuse me.
So,
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Right.
Okay.
Chair, if I could,
Please.
where are the columns going?
Decoration.
Huh?
Yeah, but where?
But where?
Oh,
There's just one post,
On
and
the-
it's on the corner because this.
Northeast.
Yeah. So this, if you can see the.
Oh, I've looked at
Number
it several
nine, is it?
times.
It's on the northeast
I just want to
corner.
caution you about these columns. The
Oh,
problem,
yeah, there it is.
I'm an expert in columns, believe me, 'cause I had to replace 4 on my porch. The difficulty with these composite columns, they don't take drilling into them easily. You'll notice I got brackets on our house with flowers hanging off them. They eventually deteriorate and pull out. They're not like wooden. You just need to, if you're going to plan to hang something on it, you need to talk to this company and make sure that it will hold a lag screw or something if you want to hang something eventually.
Okay.
I caution you about columns.
Or else,
Okay.
or else.
'Cause I've
strap
been
to
through it,
instead
huh?
of try to drill, or else.
Well, you can
strap
drill the
to it
hole and
instead
you
of-
turn, what they tell you to do is use a self-tapping lag.
Okay.
Okay? The problem is if it's a bracket with something hanging on it and it wiggles in the wind, eventually it pulls out. And then you're stuck with, what do I do now? But I just
Okay.
caution anybody.
Okay.
Would glue mitigate that?
No, because it's actually,
Epoxy or something.
Yeah.
they use some kind of an epoxy polyester resin with stone dust or something.
Right.
And they're lovely things,
Mm-hmm.
but they're lovely when they're just there alone. So
Have
I
you,
just caution people.
have you considered possibly going to Community Forklift and the other places to see if they actually have a solid wood one that you could actually use?
We're basically, my wife works on River Road,
Oh.
and she goes to forklift on her lunch break 2 or 3 times a week.
So you're familiar.
Yes, yes. So
I mean,
we're,
and-
we're looking. I mean, we're looking for any components, interior components, and outside stuff.
I mean, even like for your column, which would be.
Yeah, well,
that would be
the
interesting.
Well, the difficulty is there's no guarantee on those wooden columns.
Yeah.
That
I don't know.
Look,
We put solid wood up when we redid it. And ours are solid wood.
Yeah, well, ours lasted 70 years on the house. Then I started checking around down south, where a lot of these column companies are. And they all said the same thing, that the wood's not the same. They used to glue pieces of wood together.
Right. So an older one would hold together more.
Yeah.
And the place up in Baltimore too. What's it called?
Second chance.
Second chance.
Yeah.
So you're familiar.
Also, the loading dock. Have you been there? There's 2 of them in Baltimore. The loading dock is more reasonably priced.
Okay.
It's a little hard to find, but it's a good value.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Loading dock.
Uh-huh.
But it's a real nice looking, very nice looking
Yeah,
addition.
it's
So
great.
it's going to be a nice
clear drawings.
Nice addition to the.
Thank you.
And are you going to move out like your neighbors, or can
Not
you?
planning on it. Certainly
Okay.
not. We will certainly not move out like they have.
Okay.
Oh, I feel for them.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a real compliment to our neighborhood. I think that people want to put this kind of addition onto our properties, and I think that
Well,
you
it's a
should be
nice
commended for doing that.
It's a nice addition that doesn't create a bulky house. So
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. The space that we're adding on the lower level is already mostly blocked off. That you can only
Right,
see it from
right.
the alley anyway. And since there's the hot tub vanity there, you can't really see the porch. It's not going to change. It will make a kind of a monolithic wall that you'd be looking at from the alley. But there's a couple of places
Yeah,
where it
yeah.
has some detail and has some features. So we don't want to make something. We want to make something that we like to look at.
Right.
Yes.
As much as anyone.
Totally understand that.
So on that note, I'd like to move that we approve HDC 013-2019 for the addition at 309 4th Street.
Second.
All right, Madam Secretary, we have a motion by Ms. McSini to approve, a second by Ms. Lubinecki.
Ms. McSteeny?
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki?
Yes.
Council President Les?
Yes.
Ms. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Rambo?
Yes.
Chairman Hayes?
An enthusiastic yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number 9, HDC 014-2019 for 653 Main Street, submitted by Danley. Denelsi, thank you very much. Denelsi Guzman, requesting to install one door sign and two window signs for the hair salon.
Yes.
Thank you. Please identify yourself.
My name is Denelsi Guzman.
Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. So let's talk about your signs.
Yes, so we pretty much just want to add a vinyl sign on the door with it will include our logo, hours of operation, website. We also want to add the logo on one of the windows in the front. And then on the other window, we want to put vinyl with our services that we provide.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is the logo.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next one below
That's
is
the services list.
Okay, so you'd have the logo above this on the door?
We don't have it on the door yet.
You
But-
would,
but you
that's
would.
what you want?
Well, we won't have the doll on the door, but that's the shop name. That's the logo.
The shop name is the logo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we removed the doll.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I was trying to figure out.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And that's the font that you're using?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And so where will the illustration go?
There is 3 windows in front of our shop. There is one in the middle. The pharmacy that used to be there, they had like an RX big sticker on there. We removed that, so we want to put the doll there.
Okay. And then the list of services, where would that go?
It would go
To
on the window next to the door.
Okay,
So the window to the right.
yes, okay.
The slanted one.
Yes.
Yes.
And you'll be getting a band sign from the management?
We actually already got it, and we went along with their colors that they wanted. I know
Right.
that it wasn't approved. It wasn't what we wanted. We had already came in here and presented what we wanted.
Right.
But we were like, okay, so, we don't want to have to change it later on. And we are a new business, and he emailed us, and we were made aware of the changes. So we were like, okay, we will go along with your colors and your size. So we did the banner according to what he wanted. The sign, it's not a banner, the sign, the outdoor sign, yeah, the frame sign.
Hard to turn down free stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it was a little hard.
I mean, yeah, but since
She would have rather have her own.
he made it aware before our meeting here. So we came here in July, and he made sure that she called us and he emailed us and let us know this is what we're planning to do. So we would ask that you please go by that. It wasn't approved yet, and it didn't get approved today. But we were just like, well, if it's going to get changed, then
Right. Okay.
might as well just do one investment.
Okay.
Okay. And these are all going to have a transparent clear
Yes.
background? Then I move we approve HDC 014-2019 for the 3 window and door decals.
I'll second it.
Okay, Madam Secretary, we have a motion to approve from Ms. McSeany, a second by Ms. Rambo.
Ms. McSeany?
Yes.
Ms. Rambo?
Yes.
Council President Les?
Yes.
Ms. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki?
Yes.
Chairman Hayes?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay. Okay, we have 7 staff approvals. Which may generate some discussion.
Do we want to put that under new business?
No, I think we need to do it right.
Well, one of them was actually removed from the list.
Okay.
Oh,
Which one?
The driveway. But you want to have the discussion now, or should we let the Fine Arts Council do their presentation and then we could go back to that?
We can certainly change the order if we're going to have some discussion about how many.
About the process as opposed to the.
Oh, no. I just want the actual items approved. Just any discussion.
No, I think that
about
the
these
railing
items.
has been at least resolved for my
Resolved.
personal.
Okay.
That's fine. I think the porch railing was actually, the staff actually did have a picture of the previous porch railing, and so that was fully appropriate. I think there was just a little miscommunication that you had actually seen a previous porch railing, and that's why it was in kind, and that's fine. And the driveway, we can discuss, has been
when we see it, right? Okay,
Right.
great. Okay, so if there's
But I'd like it, I'd put under new business.
the process,
Right.
different than these. So if there's no discussion about any of these, we will move on to agenda item number 10, new business. The Laurel Arts Council, future public art projects. Please step forward and identify yourself.
I'm Cheryl Dyer.
I'm Kelsey Eustace.
And we're here to talk to you about something that some of you already know about very well because you were at our tile workshop. We're presenting our first public art project, Laurel History Bench, that is going to feature clay tiles of historic buildings in Laurel, as well as scenes of nature and other original designs by some 45 participants, ranging in age from 10 to 92. So what we want you guys to help us consider is the placement of the bench, which I believe you, did you get a sketch on the flyer? No?
Oh.
Did you? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So the actual seat itself is donated to us by the Department of Public Works. It's a granite slab measuring approximately 19 by 57 inches long, 19 inches wide, and then with the two supports, 24 inches high. The concrete block wall that we're going to build behind the bench would be roughly the same size, extend just a little bit longer, but 2 tiles high, so 16 inches above the seat for a total of 40 inches in height. And because it's connected to the history of Laurel and is a joint project with the Historical Society, we'd like it to be placed in the historic district, and our council's first choice is somewhere on the farmer's market lot on Main Street. But because the CRA owns that property, we have to get permission from them, and we have been measuring off where we could put it that wouldn't interfere with the stage at Main Street Festival. So Kelsey will say something. Oh, do you want to talk to us about that, and then we'll talk to you about our other ideas?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Please.
CRA does not own the lot, first of all. It's owned by the city. The city has leased the lot. Sorry. The city has leased the lot. CRA does own the lot, but the city has leased the lot from the CRA.
Okay.
They have a leasehold right now.
Wait, what does that mean, a leasehold?
In other words, they dictate what goes on the lot. They leased it for the purpose of the farmers market, Main Street Festival. So whatever you do with CRA, you got to do with the city too. Not me, the mayor.
So, and does that include permanent structures too? I mean, because this would be a permanent structure.
Because I don't know what the agreement looks like with the Board of Trade because of the farmers market. I'm not saying you can't do this. I'm just saying that the mayor brought it up to me today. CRA owns a lot. They purchased it. They then turned around and leased the lot to the city. And it's either a 10 or a 15-year lease, long-term lease, with the idea that it would remain open for those kinds of events. And it's a nice place for it. That's why, I don't know who erected the fence and the plants. I assume the city did all that. I think the key is to make sure that we don't impede coming onto the lot, getting off the lot. So I would just suggest that, who are you dealing with, Donna?
Donna with the CRA, and I talked to Maureen Rogers with the Board of Trade, but she's laid up with 2 broken ankles, and so
Yeah.
referred me
Oh
to
my
Jim
God.
Cross. But I haven't heard
Okay,
back from
so
him.
maybe you just want to touch base with the mayor's office on it. I think
Okay.
get all 3 of them together and agree. I don't disagree that that's not the right place for this project. But I don't want to put something up and then somebody come in 6 years from now or 7 years from now and say, you got to get it out. I don't want that. That doesn't make sense to me.
Once that goes up, it won't move.
Right.
This is pretty big.
Backhoes do wonderful things, but I don't want that to happen.
It'll be a shame.
Okay, and there isn't a lot of places to put this right now. That sort of makes sense. But I think just need to touch base with the mayor's office, because they've got the lease on the property. And I don't remember whether it's 10 or 15 years.
It's not that long, though. How many years are already used up of this?
Probably 4 or 5. When we bought it, and finally they then signed the lease with the CRA. I mean, the idea was that way it wouldn't get built. The CRA would not resell it, and it wouldn't be built on. But there's some other obstacles to building on it. Okay? And the CRA is involved in other pieces of property that, in fact, are being sold. Okay? So I think the city, to protect the farmers market, Main Street Festival, whatever else they decide to do on that property, they went ahead and signed the lease. But again, and it's not an obstacle, it's just another speed bump, that's all.
Okay.
Okay, so CRA, Board of Trade. Did you get a hold of Jimmy and talk to him yet?
Maureen was going to tell him to call me, but
Excellent.
I haven't heard from him yet.
He's the right one, and then the mayor's office.
Okay.
I have contact information for him
Yeah.
also.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, and I'm sure we get it all ironed out so we can move ahead with it. I mean, that's a great project. Let me ask you a question about the tiles. How many people actually showed up to the tiles?
About 40,
Oh,
plus
that's
some
great.
people that didn't sign up but stayed to make one with their children, or some people who didn't sign up and just happened to come to help, and they made one too.
Have they all been fired?
Oh, no, they're drying out right
Okay,
now.
they're still in the drying stage?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so the second part of this, or we're pondering other
I guess
locations.
we'll keep pondering for a while.
Well,
Okay.
but you have another more presentation.
And I think you bring this to pretty quick closure with those 3 entities involved: Board of Trade, City, and CRA.
Okay.
But we do have your permission for it to go in the historic district somewhere.
Yeah.
Most
Okay.
definitely. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Enthusiastically.
Great. And then,
Excuse me, but you mean, should they follow the protocol and fill out an application like everyone else? Or not?
I'm not sure what the protocol is for a piece of public art for the city.
That's
I
a
don't
good
think there is
question.
is there a protocol?
I would suggest that once you decide where you're going to go, just let the historic district. That's
I would think we'd approve just about anywhere.
Yeah.
if in fact you can come to an agreement with whoever owns the property, whoever's leasing the property, makes sense to me.
So do you want us to approve the design that you showed us on the drawing? Is that what you're actually asking for?
Not the design on the drawing, but the placement in the
Yeah, I
historic
mean,
district.
it's a piece of art.
Yeah.
And
I
again,
don't think we can mess with the design.
Karen, I think we don't have to mess with the design of a piece of art.
That was my question. Do we have? Well, that is actually if I have no questions with this particular piece of art, but in general, would we not have, or should we not have some say on public art that is being put in the historic district? And I think the answer to that is actually yes.
I think it is. I
agree.
think overall,
I think
overall it is.
So that's
we don't
why I'm
have
saying
we don't have a policy.
We don't,
Right
but
now.
I think conceptually we would approve, aside from the placement, we conceptually approve the concept of a granite bench with the tiles in the back. There's a little cart after the horse because we haven't actually built the thing yet. So
Yes.
so I think that's actually part one of what we actually should approve.
And I think to build on that, maybe we need to throw that issue back over the wall. So the city can tell us, pose a policy that we can adopt for art. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But since we don't have a policy, we could approve this. But I think we need to have a policy that's in our guidelines somewhere, in the guidelines, not in the ordinance, but in the guidelines. It says, okay, art will be handled this way, a little bit differently. That's a piece of art. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, no, I think you've raised an important question for us.
Yeah, it's your first approval of art, so.
Well,
There's no guidelines exist.
When Louise Eldridge,
I was thinking the same
when
exact
she put
thing.
her, and this has got to be at least 15 years ago now. When the picture of Louise Eldridge and her store was put on the side of her building. Did the Historic District Commission approve that? That was on a historic building. They had.
Yes.
It should have come to them.
They did.
So that was a piece of art. You know the one where there was a piece of art on.
Was that actually painted on, or was it? I think it was hung up.
It was hung, but it was still a
Yes.
permanent addition to the building. I mean, it wasn't a temporary sign. It really was, and this is certainly a permanent addition to the space.
So there is some precedence, but it's I think it's welcome. So.
But you've raised an important issue for us, and,
No,
and I think your solution is a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so to recap, they're going to talk to
Those
three people, entities, whatever, figure out ideally that it can go on that lot somewhere, and then they would come back and say, "Hey, we want to put our bench on the
Right, so they'll fill out.
southeast."
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to
Sounds
make
good.
that clear so that
So we will fill out an application?
Yes,
have to come back
Gone
here
through
and
those-
Yeah, once you have everything ironed out
Okay.
in terms of the location.
I don't think this is going to be a problem. It's just a process.
I think it's just just part of the process, especially if we have record that the Louise Eldridge portrait was done the same way.
And I'm guessing at least 15 years ago, if not more.
Long time.
Yeah.
Long time. John Levin would probably actually know when that was put on.
oh well, she died 16 years ago, so it was.
It was a
more
couple
than
years
that.
before
There was
that.
a couple years.
Yes.
before.
Oh yeah.
Was it before she passed away?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got to ask Jana when it's over next door.
Anyway,
Okay,
go on.
so proceed.
Great. Well, we've kind of touched on it a little bit about the discussion of guidelines for pieces of art. And I think if there are going to be guidelines created for art, then I would like the city's arts council to also, collaborate on those guidelines and be
Definitely.
involved, because we are the art expert. And you guys are, the historic district expert. And like this project with the Laurel History Bench, we're very eager to collaborate and to include Laurel's deep and rich history into our future public art projects. And we were notified by City of Laurel staff that any pieces of public art that we are in the planning stages of, kind of just brainstorming now, other than this one project that, we've actually moved forward with, the bench project. So before, we get too far ahead of ourselves on planning these future public art projects, that could be temporary or permanent. That could be murals, mosaics, art installations, sculptures. What are, I guess, the guidelines for the historic district? What also is your vision for art in the historic district?
I actually love the idea of both sculptures and murals. The first thing that comes to mind is Frederick, and the amazing artwork they have, both in their river walk and on the main drag there. It's really impressive. And it's a draw for people to come to the city. We desperately need foot traffic on Main Street. And I think there are several buildings potentially. Again, I presume there would have to be permission acquired and all of that, but I think that there are several prime locations that would be ideal for that kind of. Actually, the meat market comes to mind right away.
I actually have a question for the staff. There are some Main Street beautification grants available, are there not? So that if, say, there was a building that the Arts Council wanted to collaborate with an owner with, is it possible that there would be some grant money available to the owner to underwrite some of the cost of that mural? Is that a possibility? Is that the kind of thing that those grants could possibly take care of or help with?
We can look into that. Leah Steele handles the grant.
Right. So it's kind of like it's not actually, we'd look at it to kind of say, yay, or, oh my God, that's obscene. We can't possibly put that up. But there might be a way to get some funding for that through existing programs that would encourage an owner to be more willing to participate in such a project, because he or she would not have to pay for it all themselves, because I assume that murals cost money.
Yes, art costs money.
Worthwhile, but nonetheless, there are costs.
So does that answer your question? Or
I mean, it sounds like that needs to be included in our discussion on the guidelines.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think that's definitely part of it.
And the guidelines for the historic district may be different from what you would want to put in, be able or be appropriate for other parts of the city that are outside of that and more open. I mean, we have a whole lake over there that already has some public art, or had some public art that's been moved, but has some.
And we have a lot of banks and other buildings that have other commercial buildings that have artwork inside of them as well. That have murals.
That's
I think TD Bank on Route 1.
Yeah.
Has
Let me just point out, there was the other place where we did move some art, and that was at the print shop.
Right.
You're right. Yeah.
Right, which
So
is
again,
no longer
there's
there.
sort of a precedent, and we've sort of been bumbling along, improving those things. And I think that guidelines would in fact set the parameters. And then everybody understood the parameters and we could move forward. But I'll just caution the staff as they deliver that guideline. Guidelines should be as permissive as possible for art. That's always been my experience. And there's some things you have to avoid, but most things should be permitted. Because one person's art is another person's junk, as they say. Okay, so again, and it's an opportunity as development takes place in the Main Street area, the theater property, the rooming house property, that there may be an opportunity for staff to talk to those developers about putting a piece of art on the building, in front of the building, Now, the county has a requirement. That's why there's a piece of art in front of the library. Okay? We're a little bit small for that. I mean that. But there's an opportunity as pocket development takes place to talk to developers. And not just in the historic district, but actually in larger developments that take place in the city.
Right. I think I would disagree with that we're too small to have that requirement.
Well, we can only afford so much, unfortunately, Karen.
Well, the developers, if they want you bad enough, they find a way. If there's my thought would be if the county can do it, we can put in a requirement for significant commercial development that it incorporates in public art.
Well, I'll only point out that some people thought that the water feature at the library was going to be art. Okay? It is only a water feature. It's not to be jumped in, run through. All kids all do that. Because it turns out that health department requirement, we're going to go ape on the city or on the county for that water. You couldn't recycle it. It had to be clean. It had to be, but that doesn't hold the kids up. They think it's Disney World, is what they think. You know, the water features down there where the kids run through them.
I haven't seen them running, so I'll take your
But
word
they're
for
actually
it.
running through the one at the library. I've seen it.
Oh, I've
Actually,
never seen the water on, so I.
Oh yeah, the only turn, but I've got a grandson loves to run through water, and a lot of those kids, and they got their clothes on and they run through it.
Oh yeah.
So again, there's opportunities. If you look at in front of this building, the different art that's out there in the Memorial Garden, that's art. The way the way it's been put up, the way it's been presented. Now, I know you all weren't involved in that. That's been the city's been doing that, and Memorial Garden with art, piece of the wall, a beam. Those are all pieces of art. And again, we had one foray into that at Laurel Lakes, down near the boathouse. The
anchor?
Huh?
There are two pieces of sculpture.
Yeah, there was a metal thingamajiggy there.
There's
piece
an
of art.
anchor and an osprey, but the developers did pay for that because.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Mike, I think, what's his name paid for it?
Mike Rose.
Colin?
Mike Rose.
Oh, right.
I believe Mike Rose paid for it. And one piece was kind of expensive. I remember that. He told me. Well, I
Well,
didn't pay
actually,
for it.
consulting the Art Council as the city is working on that garden probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
Well, it was a city project. All I can
But
say.
a city agency
But that's all I can say.
to help and guide would be
Well,
seem to be
In other words, it
advisable.
works both ways.
Karen.
Yeah.
So again, there's opportunity, other places, and we need to talk about that. I'll talk about that among council members.
Good.
That there's an opportunity, just like Mike Rose paid for that 30 years ago. We didn't build on that. We need to build. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we'll look forward to working on the guidelines together.
Okay, great.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Cheryl, you'll call the mayor's office. Somebody else.
Yes. Yeah, I had suggested that we present it before the mayor and city council, but I don't know if it was Joanne Barsh or somebody said, no, you don't need to do that. You need to go CRA.
Yeah, that's right. But
We
again,
need to do it all.
I think you need to talk to the mayor so you can resolve this
Well, he
three-way.
made one of the tiles, so he knows about it.
I did-
Sweet! He's an
Did he end
artist.
up making a tile?
He's an artist.
And we have already asked him to think about, a possible event.
Oh, cool.
Okay,
We're
good.
looking at the farmers.
We need to make sure that the dedication and the big celebration.
Did his tile have a bicycle on
Our
it?
first public art project.
No,
Very
it said
exciting.
mayor. It was cute. It was good.
Great. Thank you very
Thank
much.
Thank
Okay, one more item, at least one more item of new business, the staff approvals process. So, Brooke and I have sort of just casually done a thing where she notifies me ahead of time of what the staff approvals are, what the agenda is, and just what they are, so that I can peruse them and see if there's anything that may stand out. So I had interpreted some differently than Karen and maybe some other of you as well. But maybe we need to talk about that and just clear up, what exactly that process is for staff approvals. And again, I'm presuming that the staff knows what their requirements are. I mean, they have them in just about every, they're in every presentation that we get, requests that we get. So we can discuss that. What you each of you may think about it, if it's okay, if we need something maybe to more robust process before our meetings, so that we can make sure that we don't have to spend a lot of time. I personally think that it's great that we have this many that were approved by the staff that are in kind and that sort of clear our plate a little bit. And Brooke, maybe you can share with everyone the process and in terms of once they are approved by staff and what happens with them starting the work or whatever.
Typically, they don't, with staff approvals, they don't get it right away. Usually it takes a week, maybe 2 weeks for staff to review and just make sure everything's in place. If permits are needed, we'll note that on the certificate. About it.
Okay. Please.
Yeah. Well, part of this came about because when I saw the agenda, there were a couple of items that I had questions about for the staff approvals, and part of the issue becomes because we generally meet only once a month. When somebody gets a staff approval, they obviously think that means that they can then proceed, which is the goal of expediting this process. So that if there's something that's on there that we kind of go, wait a minute, there's some issues with this, and it's very awkward both for the staff and particularly for to go back to the applicant, I think, and say, no, we really need to talk about this. And there have been several instances, I'd say, in the last 6 months or so, where there really was something that I at least had some concerns about, that sometimes the staff can easily address the question. I mean, one of the items on this past agenda I had a question about, and we were able to clarify it because the person had actually provided, it was about a railing that wasn't in the back, that was in the front, and she had actually provided a photo of her previous, but that wasn't necessarily clear. So some of that might just be language on the potential staff approval. But I think, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned that you were actually getting a list of what these staff approvals were.
Right.
So my question would be, in that week process.
But just let me say this, is that I'm getting it in the packet that everybody's
right
ahead of time. So the staff approvals are listed in our agenda that Brooke sends out.
So the staff approvals, which I don't want you to think that I don't think having this available to the recipients to our applicant is not a good idea. I do, particularly for most of the things like painting and stuff. But I'll just use the example, was a driveway, and it really wasn't in kind at all materials, and there really isn't an existing driveway for all intents and purposes in the property.
And I think you would have some disagreement on that.
I live across the street from the house.
Okay, but
I know there's a driveway.
I know, but clearly on the photo supplied, there's a cement boundary that shows there was driveway. In fact, Brooke has some pictures with cars parked in there.
There's a car parked in the front. Do you want me to?
I'm just saying.
2 days ago.
Again, it's about interpretation because to me, clearly it was a driveway, and we have gravel in our driveway on Montgomery Street, and we are constantly pulling weeds out because Mother Nature wants to take over even though gravel is there. So I can't imagine what it would be like with no gravel and just dirt.
But be that as it may, the client, the people involved were not asking to replace the gravel on their driveway. They were asking to put in cobblestones and a totally new design and a totally new look for what's a very permanent structure. And so my feeling is that, for example, that's something that should come to us
I have that
for approval, as opposed to.
Because it's not on there.
It's not It's not a replacement in kind.
It was taken off.
Oh, I see.
It's all. We took it off.
I mean, it's not in kind at all.
It's not at all in kind. So what I'd like to propose is that email and text and stuff being very easy as these approvals come. We're planning to approve the following things, and so we can all quickly look at them. And if you don't hear from us by 3 days, 4 days, then it goes ahead. So we don't really stop the process for the thing. But if there's something that we're flagged, that one of us really feels strongly about, that we can then say, no, we'd like to have that one come before us. And then at that point, it's much easier for you to go back and say, no, we've conferred with the commission and they would like you to come before them. I think the odds that the times that's going to happen are not terribly frequent. And perhaps we could do a test for 6 months and see how that works.
So, Brooke, how early do you compile all the in-kind?
I think as they come in, I would be the way to do it.
Hang on a second. So just as they come in. So when is the cutoff date? Oh, really? Okay. So there you go. So at that point, when when your deadline is met, then maybe if you could just send to me the list of in-kind.
Why only to you, sir?
Because that way I can decrease her work, having to send it to everybody, and everybody sending her messages. So that way I can be the point person, and then I will distribute it to the commission.
Well, 2 questions. Your deadline for potentially to come before us, but if you're doing a staff, let's say somebody comes to you tomorrow, okay, which is the day after we have met, and you're prepared to do a replacement in kind, right? You're going to go through that week process as you do it now. And then the end of next week, you'll say to those people, okay, you're good to go, right? So that isn't going to work. Her deadline for things that are going to appear before us, as opposed to how the in-kind thing works, isn't going to work, because you're
So I was thinking maybe once a week, even if you haven't gone. Say you get 3 requests that you think are going to be approved in kind. Like, I need to, I want to repaint my railings black in kind. And, Susie wants a new roof in, these 3 things. And, you haven't done all your research yet, but you can email and say, 510 Prince George wants to paint their railings black, just like they are now, and Susie wants a new roof, and John Smith on Montgomery Street wants, to replace his whatever with whatever. They look like staff approvals will, at that point, I think we would be able to tell, like you don't have to go to the planning commission. You wouldn't have had to have gone to the planning commission yet for this driveway for us to say, well, for one of us at least to say, hey, that's not really in kind. We want them to come before us. You can, no rush, kind of thing. Does that make sense? So like at the end of each week, you can say, here are in kind things. Is that too much of a burden on you?
That's okay, but well, okay from my point of view. Again, but I think that we need to respond quickly on it as well.
Well, that's why I was thinking, at the end of every week,
But we still need, if whether you receive it from Brooke or from myself,
right,
is irrelevant.
Right. No, I don't care who sends it, but like a weekly thing.
Right. So we can definitely try that. I'm fine with that.
And you can put in, we could say, we need to hear from you. Let's say you send it on Friday, the whatever. We need to hear from you by Tuesday or Wednesday. I need to hear if anyone objects. And with all due respect, Mr. Chairman, having Brooke just send it to us, and then there's only 7 of us, to say back to her. If she hears from nobody, then she knows there's no problem. If she hears from somebody, then she knows there's a problem. Or it's not even a problem. It's that one, you may hear from 2 or 3 people, but it's the hearing from, I think we're saying if we hear from somebody that wants to have it on the agenda, that we want to do that. Is that?
Can I just provide some background here so we all understand whence we came? I don't think anybody was here except myself.
He was long.
I've been here too long. Okay, Sonny was the coordinator, and we were getting an awful lot of requests to paint something white that was already white, or replace a piece of concrete that was already concrete. No increase in size. So we agreed, the current HDC, that Sonny would be able to provide for true in-kind requests or an emergency. Had a windstorm, tree fell on the house, had to replace the roof, had to replace the gutter. Okay. Let me just continue. So that's how that came about. And I'm going to be honest with you. Sunny would call the chair or myself when she saw something that didn't look right to her. I'm being honest. And I'd say, to ask the chair, I can't get a hold of the chair. What she would say. Well, then tell the people they got to come to the HDC. And a couple did. One of the examples that comes to mind, somebody wanted to replace a ribbon driveway, 2 strips of concrete, with a solid piece of concrete, 8 feet wide as opposed to, 18 inches, 3 feet, 18 inches. Because they said that those ribbons would heave. Well, there happens to be one on Prince. I'd heard that for years when I built the house, Roman's house. Those are 30 years old, those ribbons, and they haven't heaved yet. Because there's a way to do it, but you got to go do some research. They're tied together with rebar under the middle brass.
But if it's done wrong.
But if you do it wrong, they just heave. Okay, so, or they wanted to replace a tin roof on a porch with a composite roof. Composite shingles. And I would say, look, they need to come to the HDC because, or the chair would tell them, Jim, God bless his soul, would say, because they don't understand that really doesn't protect the roof with a lot of rain or an ice dam. That's why you've got tin up there. It just slides.
Well, and it's not in kind either.
Well, that's exactly right, and it's not in kind. But somebody would say, I'm going to replace the roof in kind. But Sunny was smart enough. She would act, I don't know what Brooke does, but Sunny actually went and looked at every property. Do you go look at every property, Brooke? Well, we need to make the time. I'm going to suggest to the city administrator and the mayor that your time is made where you just, take all those things, roll around and look at them.
That some people don't understand that Sunny just did historic district.
I understand that.
And I do a whole other position.
I understand that.
So,
but I'm suggesting that this is smart and this is important enough where we've got to make the time for somebody
I
to
think
go
the
look.
planners do follow up. I don't know how they do it on every single one, but they do on certain ones.
So let me come to the next part. So I've applied for 2 in-kind things to Brooke over the last 8 months. One for painting, exact same color. Didn't do the painting till after it appeared on the sheet here. I haven't done the brickwork, which has been approved.
Which was a little bit close there, Mike, I have to tell you.
What?
For in kind.
It's exactly in kind. There's brick there now. It's on concrete, and I'm replacing the bricks with the same color bricks. Explain to me why it's not in kind.
Well, are you doing colored bricks or brick?
The bricks are a specific pattern of brick. They're called old something or another. I don't understand all of them, but there's like 100 different brick types. Okay? These are not common building bricks. So whatever they are, old, and I remember old whatever it is. In fact, they're going to try and reuse the brick that's there.
That's great.
Okay. They may not be able to. But again, in kind. Same color brick, hard grout, on concrete. The same as it is now. I'm not doing anything different.
Okay.
Not increasing the size of the lead walk. I got to fix them before I break another kneecap. Okay, that's how I hurt my kneecap 5 years ago. Huh?
Oh.
But again, all I'm saying is that there's this in kind. If we're going to allow staff to say in kind, and it isn't in kind because you didn't get a chance to go look at it, I think that presents a problem. And maybe in that case, everything should revert coming back to the commission. And that's how we got away from that. I mean, emergencies, trees down, wind damage, tornadoes. Thank God we've only had one. But again, and in kind to some people means something that might mean to you and I. I truly believe that.
Oh, that's for sure.
I mean,
we've seen that here.
Well, the
plenty of
blue
times.
color of the one building on Main Street. Okay.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
Well,
we
it
would
was-
not want that
it was a
repainted
different-
in kind.
They were going to do it in kind, but they did it a different color blue.
Right. They said they were going to do it in kind, and
It was neon
It
blue.
doesn't.
So I agree with you. I agree with you, Karen.
No,
It truly has to be in kind. But a lot of people don't understand that. But if we can't have staff go look at it, maybe we need to do something else with those in kind for approval. And that's what I hear you saying.
Right. Exactly.
Well,
So yeah.
Well, I think we're saying, and part of our job is to be the people who are also looking at these projects. And so I go back to the great news for us is technology is pretty easy. I mean, sending an email to 6 people with a list is the same as sending the email to one person with the list. And if I have let's say something comes up and I'm like, okay, well then it behooves me also to go over to property X and take a look as a member of the commission to if I'm going to question the decision, to take a look and take some responsibility for that, to not put more burden on the staff. You know, I mean, I don't expect the staff to know every property in the city of Laurel. I mean, there's a lot more properties than there were when we first designated it. And it's so I love the fact that you actually put the pictures up on the
that's great. Thank you.
which is really helpful. I mean, that's really good to have. So maybe we could try for 6 months, just having us sent them. And I think Ms. McSeeney's idea, maybe once a week. You know, at the end of the week, these are the ones that are pending, or no new pending ones this week, or whatever it is. And we can come to an agreement on and how many days we need to. And if you don't hear from anybody, that means that you'll assume that everyone is fine with it. And it also gives a chance to ask a question. So if there's a question, it might be, well, what is this something? And you can go, oh yeah, I have an actual picture of the railing, and then you go, oh, okay, fine. So then we don't have to have concerns at the end, but it still expedites it for the clients and doesn't put too much more burden on you. Hopefully.
I'm going to be honest with you. The ones I go look at on this agenda is above that line. I don't go look at the other ones. I assume the staff did the right thing. I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Maybe I'm derelict. Maybe I should go look at those.
Well, I don't necessarily look at I just look at the
Thank
list.
God Karen's living across the street from one, where she noticed. But again, all I'm saying is that we need to do the right thing so that somebody doesn't come back and ask staff, why did you approve that? You know, well, the HDC gave me the authority to do that. I don't want you placed in that position. I'm going to be honest with you. But I will, as I said, discuss with the mayor and the city administrator having enough time for you to go look at those properties. Since it's only once a month. Right? We only have a meeting once a month. And I know you're doing a lot of other things back there. Because your Board of Appeals, correct? Planning Commission? Geez, they're going to skewer you someday for making the wrong decision. But again, so I think we need to make sure that we provide the opportunity for you to do your work so that, it's high quality work. And that's, I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying that when I see that a roof's been proposed in kind and it's currently metal, they're going to rip the metal off and put composition up there. That doesn't give us the opportunity to say to that person, geez, this is a potential problem. Or you're going to replace the windows? Well, we can provide that, but did you know that Marvin and Anderson make replacement windows in 1/4-inch increments now? They're wood for the inside, clad on the outside, give you the same thing you want with an aluminum or vinyl or whatever, all those Vitex or whatever they're using. And in fact, wooden windows, in the case of historic houses, last longer because the house continues to settle after 100 years. And vinyl and aluminum doesn't give. Wood does. So again, I think we need to provide Brooke with the opportunity to do her job so that we feel comfortable with it. And I think what you've suggested, Karen's a good idea.
Might I suggest that when you go to the mayor and city administrator, you say ECD staff, because typically it will probably be a planner that will go out and check that, not Brooke.
Yeah, I may have you come sit in with me with the mayor.
That's fine.
I mean that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the mayor and I don't always get along, so you might observe some of that. But again, I think
I'll sit in between.
No. But the mayor and I tend to agree on many things.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have the interest of the city at heart and the resident.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, we also have at heart our staff performance. So we want high quality performance. Again, I think we both agree on. I don't want to put words in his mouth because I met with him today on something. But again, I think this is something we may want and get. We'll probably get Bill in there too. Since he's going to be the city administrator. I'm not throwing stones at you, bro. Not my nature. I'm a nice guy, believe it or not. Okay? But I want to make sure you have the opportunity to do your job so that you do high quality work. Okay?
But
Good job.
Brooke is also going to have to hold our feet to the fire on the weekly items. And if we don't meet that deadline of getting back to her, then
That's it.
too bad.
Absolutely.
You missed your opportunity.
No, absolutely
That's
right.
right.
If there is an opportunity.
I agree.
We all have emails. We all have, God help us, phones, tablets, heaven knows what. So yeah. I mean, it is a dual responsibility. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what are we going to suggest on that in terms of time after? So the weekly thing is it comes on, say, on a Friday. So by the following Tuesday, we should have something back to her.
Can we say the close of business Tuesday? We close at 5.
Sure.
Sounds that's fair.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. That gives us the whole weekend.
Yep.
Run around
Well, and
look
also it doesn't hold up the process for more importantly for the applicant, which is part of the whole issue here is to expedite the stuff for the applicants. I mean, let's remember who our customer is here. Our customer is the applicant.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Good job.
Anything else?
Yes.
Please.
So, I've noticed a few things in the neighborhood. So the first, and this was happening on a weekend, at 322 Laurel Avenue, he is an Asian gentleman on the south side of the street, sort of pale gold, front porch. He wanted to cut down a tree, and I don't think we approved it. He wanted to paint his front porch. He wanted a new door, and
he wanted to cut down a tree to do a driveway.
That was the impression we got, that he wanted to get a driveway back to the alley.
Yeah, this is like 6 months ago.
Right. So 2 of the trees between the front of his house and the alley are now just trunks. I don't think he didn't cut the trees down, but there are no limbs on the trees, and one of them looks like maybe it was a walnut tree. It's in the backyard, probably at least 5 feet tall. It's a substantial trunk. Yeah, probably a black walnut. So it's not just, it's not a tall trunk anymore. It's sort of a short, but I've got a list of a couple things. And I think these are things that we need to consider. He came to us, we said no, and then he went and did it,
Effectively.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. So he could say he was pruning, but he pruned it back so that it's so damn ugly. He's probably going to ask to take it down.
Right, it's going to die,
so
and yes.
Lovely.
And then at 405 Main Street, which used to be La Segunda, it's next to the white building with the insurance agency.
Covered with faux stone.
Yeah, so it's got like form stone on the front. At least one wall they have painted almost all of it dark blue. Not all the way to the top. Probably. What is that?
We're on it. They've painted 3.
Oh, they painted 3 sides. Okay.
3 sides. So we've already contacted the owner about that.
Okay.
Today.
Because on one side it's a little short.
We had a planner go out there today, and they contacted the owner.
That's as far as they could read.
Okay. And then 505 Prince George. Somebody came to me with a complaint, which is Pat Quill's house.
Oh God.
Was that the house?
The house
with new windows now?
With the new windows. All right. So somebody came to me with a complaint. Did the HDC approve all this work? And I said yes. And he said, I can't believe it. And I said, well, yes. And I said, he wanted vinyl siding, he wanted a new roof, and this neighbor said, that would be much better than what we have now. Because they painted the roof Kelly green, the roofs. It's a little bright, the metal roof.
The tin
roof is now Kelly green.
All right. That's one of those, he asked to paint it in kind green.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not in kind.
The cedar shakes, we said, it's probably cheaper to replace. Not sure that it's cedar. I didn't go up and look. And that it's as if we're something really dark,
He hasn't restained them.
they're not restained.
Well, and cedar takes time to achieve a patina.
Right.
Okay.
So, but it is glaring on almost all the, it does look horrendous. And there was something else. And I think the shutters might be a different color.
I don't know.
So I feel like we have, at this point, done a disservice to the neighborhood. I mean, because the person coming to complain is exactly right. It does look horrible.
Well, I think you have a legitimate complaint about the Kelly green roof. I saw that too, and I thought that was an interpretation issue, maybe.
Yes. Along with the shutters are kind of a different color too.
Yeah.
Again,
But
interpretation.
I think I personally draw the line on the cedar because I think you can't expect it new cedar to be exactly.
But I think that's something that we should have. I mean, I didn't think about it, and I guess I thought they had the old cedar shakes or would have.
They were probably. I just presumed they were damaged. I mean, I was impressed that they put cedar shakes back in. I think they are cedar.
I don't know that all of them are. And looking,
I don't think the original shingles were cedar because they would have gone to gray first. Before they.
Well, weren't they stained though?
I don't know what they did, but I'm not so sure that the original ones were oak shakes, which were much cheaper than cedar at one time.
And less effective too.
And I don't know.
Do you think oak shakes are still available?
What?
Oh, you'd have to hand make.
Yeah.
Oak?
Yeah.
They all got to be handmade.
We don't have the opportunity.
Cedar, I think you can buy.
I mean, whatever the issue is, I think the issue is more that I'm bringing it to us in that, I didn't think about that. And nobody said, oh, well, if you replace them, you've got to stain them to match.
Yeah, in kind.
I don't feel like we can go and say, I mean, and they're, over one window, it really looks horrible, not the color. It looks like it was very poorly done. I don't feel like we can go and say, hey, you did this wrong. You've got to, because we approved it. But I think it's on us
right, that part of it.
Take that into
but
account.
I think we can draw, some sort of issue with the coloring on the roof and the shutter.
We didn't see samples of that, so.
No, and we just said in kind.
That was
and,
in kind, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
and we said
Well,
that
did
it wasn't
he ever
a
come
staff
before
approval.
us? Did he come?
Oh, yeah.
Twice.
Twice.
And we don't have the jurisdiction
I
to go
remember the
back,
first
I
one. I
don't
must
think,
have
and
been
say,
absent.
stain it, unfortunately. I mean, I think in our thinking, when we said replace it in kind, that meant when you took off a brown shutter, a brown shingle, you put a brown shingle back
Right.
on.
Let me, if I could, Karen, let me just, when we replaced the fence at our house, I wasn't able to paint it.
Right.
Part of the approval was we would paint it the following year white. And I had to wait for it to, because those are cedar. They said, don't paint them right away, wait a year. We did. And I think it may be the same with these cedar shakes. I think that we're correct that the oak shakes are no longer available.
Yeah, I think.
What they call stave shakes or something. But again, I think that you make a valid point that they stick out like a sore thumb. When you look at the house, it doesn't look right. But the color of the roof is obviously difficult.
Well, here's a question for the staff. Knowing that we really have no jurisdiction in the sense of making them do something at this point, we don't think. Is there the opportunity to make a friendly inquiry to say, we wondered what your plans were for painting, for matching the color of that would kind of alert them that we're aware that it looks really terrible without suggesting that we're going to do any enforcement on it?
You mean the shakes?
The shakes. In other words, to just say we were just wondering if there were plans to match, and they might come back to you and say, we plan to paint, but we've been told we can't paint these for 6 months or a year, and that would address your issue there, Mike.
Yeah, that's correct. It would.
And it would be enable us to go back to the neighborhood or someone to say, we've looked into it.
Yeah, we have to.
But gently.
Yeah, I was going to say we have to be gentle on this one because we've had some pushback from these folks regarding previous inquiries that they may have even threatened a lawsuit. I'm not sure exactly.
Do they need
any guidance? They thought we were badgering them.
Right, I remember that. And
they haven't moved in the house yet, have they?
I don't think anybody's living in there.
no.
Well, this was a house where he made a statement the first time he was here that they had to get it fixed up so they could move in. They needed a place to
No,
live.
they're working on the inside. Oh,
Is the inside done yet? That's my question.
I don't know.
That's a different issue. They've got to have an electric. He has an electrical installation, whatever license. It has to be inspected. Same thing with the plumbing. Replacing the whole plumbing system, that has to be inspected. Okay, any gas hookup, that has to. So again, I don't know what's going on there. If I had to think about it a while, it's probably a flip.
I think it's.
Well,
I think
I'm putting it out. I'm laying it on the table.
I think it's more we ran
Because
out of
they
money.
made a statement they had to move in right away. And he had to get this work going. And it's been what now? 5 months? 4 months? 5 months? So again, and again, I want people to have a place to live. I want them to fix these houses up. That place was a wreck. But again, I think that if I don't live across the street from somebody I know does. And all I'm suggesting, it is not an asset to the neighborhood as it exists right now.
Oh, no.
It actually was better for.
I would agree.
Okay. So whatever we can do to sort of, let's move this along, folks. Without getting badgering.
We can send them a gentle email or letter.
One of those nice letters you send.
Yeah,
Very
gentle.
Very gentle.
One of the nice letters you send.
Right.
We can send nice letters.
Right.
That was everything on my list.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
That's fine. Anything else for the good of us?
Okay, just So everybody knows Marty's last day at the end of the month.
The
There's
30th.
a reception for him on
24th.
Monday.
24th, which is council meeting. Council meeting
Isn't
will
that
start
Monday?
at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we'll have awards for Marty and a reception for Marty afterwards. Up for approval on next Monday. Up for approval is Bill as city administrator, Luann Crook as deputy city. I think I hit it
Luann
all.
Crook.
Okay.
Bill, I don't know.
William Goddard. Oh. He's been the deputy city administrator now for 2 years.
Okay.
So he's got a lot of experience. Luann's got a lot of experience in the city, so good to see people from the city promoted into those.
Oh, were we going to discuss a date? So, is that not in some email? Was that not this
Did you
committee?
want to do a work session
work
or
session
something?
date?
Yeah, and so that's sort of up to me. I have to find out when there's I guess a combination of when there's a good day, when we could meet, and I presume we do it here, we get space here. So, do I?
I think Marty wanted to discuss that tonight, but since he's not here.
Yeah.
So we can wait for Bill to discuss that with us.
Okay.
Or discuss it with the chair. I think that would be the right thing to do.
Sure. And then you just, look for an email from me regarding the work session.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. Anything else? I will entertain a motion for.
Oh, I move we adjourn.
I second.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes,
Thanks,
please.
guys, for staying so late.
What'd you do, buy a new chair?
No, it's a footstool.
Footstool.
I'm having a yard
I
sale.
bought a
Saturday.
footstool.
Margie can have what she wants.
But I'm going to be out of
Well, let me
town.
see that. I might come by that.
Well, she just gave it to me.
Yeah.
She gave it to you?
Yes.